Welcome to AstroEnergy with astrologer angel Shelley Overton. Hello, and welcome to the October 24th. Wow, time flies. 2017 edition of the AstroEnergy Show. My name is Shelley Overton, and I am an astrologer in Orlando, Florida. It's a kind of mediocre day outside. It's not too beautiful. It's a little overcast, and I'm actually still pretty warm. It's going to be 81, and it's going to be raining today, but we are in line for some cooler weather tomorrow. I'm looking tremendously forward to that, which is 71 degrees. So we're going to have a few days in a row like that, and so it's going to be so lovely. It'll be like fall finally arrived in Central Florida. But as usual, I always look to Halloween to be the demarcation of cooler weather here in Orlando. So anyway, interestingly, we have a lot of weather issues going on astrologically as far as what rules the weather and what's affecting the weather. And part of it is Neptune in trine to Mercury at 11 degrees exactly today. So Mercury rules the intense energy of electricity and local storms, and it can be more personalized electric energy, where Neptune rules water and the tremendous power of water, and water as a leveler. So even though they are in trine, you can expect that the trine energy will bring out some issues. And when it's Mercury, it's going to be, and Mercury is in Scorpio right now. It just went in last week, so it's at 11 degrees already. And it means that there is this intellectualization and thinking energy, and also it's erratic because that's the nature of that particular energy. And so when it's erratic, it expresses through the air, which it is the ruler of Gemini as well as Virgo. In Virgo, it is earth energy, so it can bring more things that are tangible in the material world, like car accidents and things that are like contracts, anything that's physical and tangible. But with its air energy in Gemini, it is more intellectual and electric. So Mercury, the element in its physical form, is very mercurial. It goes here, it goes there, and you can't really pin it down. And so its physical nature is to not be pinned down and to be a little erratic, which is also similar to Uranus. But And so when you have the combination of the two energies, what I should say is when you combine the two energies, you're going to see this electrical water charge in the earth. And so that means floods and rain. And overnight last night, we had a tremendous amount of rain coming through. So, it's kind of predestined a little bit with that energy right now that we're going to have. And if it's not rain in particular, it could be something along with water or the busting of a pipe. I know trines are considered to be positive energy, but they are very much environment and everything. So that's definitely going on right now. Excuse me, I'm having a little difficult time swallowing, sorry. But you'll also see the water energy of Jupiter and Mercury and Sun in Scorpio that combines with the added energy of Neptune, because they're all approaching that degree. They're within, well, the Sun is at 1 degree, so it's 10 degrees away from a trine to Neptune, but Jupiter it's 8 degrees away, and the way I read it, 8 degrees is pretty much within trine to that energy. So we'll see again more of this coming through. Now, Jupiter is the energy of property, it's education. It could be something coming out emotionally around schools. It is airline travel. There could be some weather restrictions in airline travel. This is coming up when Jupiter gets closer to that 11-degree trine. And so let's just look and see when that is. It's going to be actually at the end of November. So it's not going to be for a while because Jupiter is moving a lot slower than Mercury and a lot slower than the Sun. Now, the Sun will be there at the beginning of November on the 4th. So look for some more weather issues around travel around the 4th. And let me see, Neptune. Yeah, Neptune will still be at that 11 degrees. So, and then let's see. So the beginning of December, the whole first week of December, and probably the end of November. Because even though it's 10 degrees, it's very close to that trine degree. So that's your weather report for today. Anyway, Saturn is at 23 degrees Sagittarius. He's within 2 degrees of the moon. So the moon's at 25 and Saturn's at 23, which means they are conjunct, and they are in trine to a 26-degree Uranus in Aries. And Uranus in Aries is, again, that electrical energy, but it's in a fire sign. Uranus is in fire, and Saturn Moon conjunction is in fire. So what does that mean? Well, we have very strong energies around culmination and wrapping up of how our behavior is along the lines of the Sagittarius influence. And it probably was stronger when Jupiter was at the end degrees of Libra, as far as more free to express. But now that Jupiter, the ruling planet of Sagittarius, has moved into Scorpio, it's going to be much more around deep, dark secrets. And Sagittarius wants to be free to move about. And Sagittarius can also encompass, I know that the traditional view of Sagittarius is the truth teller. I see Sagittarius can also be acting on its own behalf, and that can be duplicitous at times. So you can find they aren't completely truth-telling, but with Jupiter, the ruler in Scorpio, that's when the hidden things that we have accumulated with Sagittarius. So sex, I can't even speak today, sex acts, things like having hidden families in another city, or things like that, where you're finding out truths that weren't necessarily known before. But it's because the sign of Sagittarius, which is on the horizon here in Orlando today at this moment, puts Scorpio, the hidden, in the 12th house of the hidden and the subliminal. So that means that we're going to be finding out a lot more information as Jupiter goes through different aspects to other planets. So Jupiter is kind of bringing lightness and optimism, but at the same time, the ability to just spit out what it has on its mind. And so as comes into aspect with other planets, it's going to be getting that out. And right now we have the opposition still, but it's a fading opposition to Uranus. Jupiter is, let's see, about 7 degrees away from an opposition. So it is still within that 8-degree arc on either side, but it is moving away from Uranus. So it was a very intense energy in Libra, as Jupiter, what was it, a couple weeks ago? Let me just see here real quick when it was at 26. Yeah, it was actually the end of September. So around the end of September, we saw that, just more like 3 weeks ago, going on 4 weeks. So that's when there was a lot of agitation and more upset. I think that was when we had a lot of the news stories around groups of people. I think it was when the attack in Las Vegas happened. I don't know. It seems to go by so fast these days. But now it's starting to move away, and that means that Jupiter is done with Uranus. He doesn't want to interact with that energy, doesn't want to be around more the male energy, which kind of segues into our topic today of the genders in astrology. Jupiter is now in a feminine sign, which is Scorpio. So we will be getting on that. I don't want to jump the gun. I do want to use that, but I want to talk about a couple of the other planets too before we get there. So Venus is in Libra and Mars is at 1 degree Libra. He just went in a couple days ago. So now we have both Venus and Mars in Libra. And Venus is at 12 and she is coming into a square with Pluto. Let me see. I've got my glasses here. Let me just get those on and tell you when that happens. It's coming up pretty quickly. Yeah, it's on Friday. Friday at 11:21 p.m., 8:21 p.m. Pacific. Venus will square Pluto. And so, again, coming up with couples you didn't know were breaking up. That's a strong action based on that. Venus, Libra, femininity, and or Venus rules Libra, but in that sign, it's about the expression of ideology. And is this situation really something I want to continue to be in? Is the desire there? We are changing what we desire. The square to Pluto in Capricorn means that there's a very strong likelihood that the energy of that disinterest in the partnering is now very clearly because of a power struggle. Pluto is a power planet and Capricorn is a restrictive, authoritarian-ish planet. It's about that structure and the authority, and Pluto is about power and value and where is my power. So with the square to those two planets, we're seeing this battle over control and desire, or those are the two issues with the two people or energies of, it could be organizations, it could be clubs, it could be anything, whatever is represented in the world by that feminine partnering and desire versus authority and power struggle. So that's coming up. It's growing actually in the next week. So we'll see that perfect on Friday, but it will be throughout the week that there will be some power struggles going on. And then Mars, of course, Mars is moving a little bit slower than Venus, but he went into Libra on the 23rd, and he will be making his way through Libra until the 10th of December. So he's going to be touching the angle of, let me see, what was it? Just give me 17 degrees Pluto. So he'll be coming into that Pluto angle, which is going to be a bit more forceful. So basically what's going on right now is we're realizing the desire. It's really uncomfortable. We're not happy. We don't like what's going on. We are probably honestly going to have a fight on Friday with someone you know. Could be, again, the authority, female versus authority, which could be mother, which could be father, which could be boss. So those are the people that are going to be in the disagreement or the fight. And then Mars comes into this aspect right around, I'm sorry, I'm trying to nail it down because, of course, when you're pinning it down, you've got to keep in mind that the other planet that it's going to aspect is moving as well. So it's going to be between the 19th and 20th of November. And so Mars hits that 17 degrees on the 19th of November, which hopefully we'll get out of our system before Thanksgiving, because if that hits on Thanksgiving, it would be very uncomfortable. But it's going to be just before Thanksgiving, which could change those Thanksgiving plans. And Mars is a masculine energy. It's an action-based energy. And it's going to be basically pushing through and forcing the issue that Venus brings up in our world. And because Mars and Pluto are basically the same energy, only different volumes or octaves of the same energy, there is going to be a massive disagreement. And that could be, again, bosses, authorities, teachers, and those who are seeing more of a cooperation and wanting a cooperation to go on, but because the desire for cooperation is at odds with that Plutonian authority energy, it won't necessarily, because Venus is a receptive energy. Mars is not. Mars is a proactive, aggressive energy, so it's going to come in and stand up for Venus. So this is the energy of also, like, if you think of a family dynamic where mom or sister is being bullied and the brother or sibling comes in and stands up for them. So yeah, we're going to see that coming in November, a little bit farther down the road. But that's kind of the energy of Venus and Mars right now. Sun in Scorpio. So I think we touched on this a little bit last week because we had our Scorpio show. But Sun in Scorpio is the feminine. It is expansion of the feminine, but is also, and you would think this is ironic to me, because Scorpio to me is a very forceful, dramatic power energy, but it's a feminine energy. And Libra, which is ruled by Venus, is actually a masculine energy in the zodiac. So it makes it a little confusing. But anyway, so the moon next to Saturn, again, mother, father, feminine, masculine energy, authority versus receptivity, wanting to be in the career in home, bringing the home environment into a place where you can do work, and also bringing in others from other cultures, or maybe working from home with people in other countries. There's a cross-pollination going on there. Okay, that's just the major aspects and the major transits right now, but getting into our masculine and feminine. So each one of the signs has a quality of masculinity and femininity, with the possible, well, actually the signs all do have masculine and feminine, but the planets that rule them don't necessarily. So the two exceptions in my book are Mercury, which is neutral, gender neutral, and rather androgynous when it pops up in certain aspects in a chart, and then Uranus, which is kind of the alternative planet. So it tends to be more masculine in that it is a power energy also, but it is intellectual and can be alternative, which removes it from traditional gender roles. So those two planets don't necessarily line up with gender specificity, but the signs they rule do. And so we'll go through the signs. So every other sign in the chart wheel, and if you're not familiar, if you're just kind of joining us, the chart wheel is the chart circle that all the planets are in, and it's the physical flattening out of the sky around the Earth. So unless you're doing a heliocentric chart, heliocentric is the sun, and then it would be where the planets are around the sun. But generally a geocentric chart, which is what I use, is around the Earth. So in that chart, we have Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. And every other sign, a different gender. So Aries is the first sign. It is male. Taurus is feminine, Gemini is masculine, Cancer is feminine, Leo is masculine, Virgo is feminine, Libra is masculine, Scorpio is feminine, Sagittarius is masculine, Capricorn is feminine, which is a little confusing because it also does rule authority and father figures and leaders, but I guess that's also part of the changing plot line. And then Aquarius is masculine and Pisces is feminine. So when you are reading a chart, there are just so many layers that you throw into reading a chart, and you start with the first house as the masculine energy, the forthright, assertive energy of the ego, and it kind of is, it brings in the idea of that male ego onto whatever planets are in that house. So know that that energy of the ego of wanting to defend self is infused into the planets that are there. So like I'm looking at the chart right now for Orlando, and so there's Saturn and Moon in Sagittarius in the first house, which means that there, and not only is the first house the Aries fire energy, but now we have Sagittarius in that fire energy in the first house, and Saturn, which is bringing up a more strong hour, because this rotates over the course of time. So for 2 hours we have a Sagittarius rising, and so we'll see that energy around being out. Like you might get into the office and your boss might say, I want to talk to you, come here. And then there's this extra structure put on you when you get into the office. If you get into the office, say around this time, if you come in late today or come in at 10. So it kind of gives you the idea that there's this more authoritarian male energy. It can be sales energy. That's also Aries in the first house, but it's putting yourself out there. So you see that strength of presence in the physical body, in the physical form. And the drive. And then you go to the feminine, and that's Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. And so everything is receptive and desire-based, and it brings in that feminine quality to whatever's in that sign and whatever's in that house in the chart. And so today, right now, we have Pluto in Orlando. Pluto is in that second house. So it makes it a more reception-based, receiving the energy of power. How is that power being played out in our lives? And right now, Pluto's direct in Capricorn. And so the Capricorn energy, again, feminine. We have Pluto, which rules Scorpio, which is feminine, and Capricorn, which is feminine, and the house is feminine. So it's a very strong feminine energy around money and desire and cooperation, looking to manifest the material world. I would say, like, if you were, and this is just projecting out. This is really a projection of potential that you could use to interpret this particular energy. So, say you're at work downtown in Orlando, and you go into the office, and suddenly you realize that you want to buy some stock. And so on your lunch break, you go and you get online, and now you're going to go buy some stock. It's a very desire-based, market-based, structure-based energy, and it's really good for investment, especially in the Taurus energy and strong Pluto. Right now, it is squaring Venus. So there's going to be, because of that particular energy, I don't want to digress into reading the chart again, but because the Venus-Pluto square is right there, I would not recommend buying stocks right now, because it means that there's going to be some type of difficulty with the stock because of the Venus-Pluto square. But to give you the idea, that's a very receptive energy, desire-based. So money, buying beautiful things, having luxuries, that kind of thing is the second house and the feminine desire. So we get into the masculine energy of Gemini. And if you think about it, the first house Aries is physical action, male energy. The way men process a lot is linear and logical, and that's Gemini, linear logical. It's an air energy, it's analysis, it's thought, it is communication, which when I was growing up, I got a lot of, I was a talkative person. I grew up with a lot of the gender biases around women and talking, but it is also a masculine thing where men impart information based on analysis, and that's what the Gemini energy is. And so it's, I wish there were a word that could come to mind for the opposite of receptive. I guess promotional might be the closest thing I could come to that. But we get into Cancer. Cancer is the mother, receptive, feminine, emotional, ruled by Moon. So we have this really watery femininity, nurturing, and whatever planets fall in the fifth house are the receptive, home-based energy, and that's where they play out. Leo, again, masculine. If you think of, I know it's a sign of the lion, so I guess I could use that. I was going to say the peacock, but the male of the species tends to be the more brightly ornate, flamboyant partner, like cardinals are red, and the reason for that is to attract the attention away from the females who are raising the cubs or the birds, the baby birds or whatever. Like the females are to be protected in the nest in the home, so the males are out there showing off and like, hey, look over here. So if you can see me, I'm waving my hands in the air, fluttering them in the air. So that's the Leo energy, masculine Leo 9, and getting the attention, the drama. Then the feminine, Virgo, workplace, detail-minded, task-oriented. Women are really good with those kind of things, and part of their makeup is that way genetically or biologically. They are really good with multiple tasks because they raise children, and there are a lot of things going on. You have to pay attention to potential dangers, and men do too, of course. I'm not negating that men have to make sure kids get to 18, but being the nurturers and the ones that actually give birth to the children, they're always looking out to protect their young and get them grown, and so they're always seeking multiple ways of doing things. They have to take care of many different things. I mean, I look around my life and go, man, I'm so busy. Thank goodness my mind can process so many different things at once. And anyway, it is, again, feminine, receptive Virgo. Virgo is the sign of the Virgin and a female icon associated with that sign. So anyway, wherever we are in the workplace, it is a receptive, really, if you look to charts for authority for like bosses, you're going to find them in Aries, you're going to find them in Leo, and you're going to find them in Capricorn. And those are the people who are the head of things, but the Virgo energy is receptive and also behind the scenes and, service oriented. And those can be assigned to the feminine nature. And there's a lot going on now with gender roles and gender specificity, etc. It probably will be changing in astrology, and I'm guessing that around the time Uranus goes into Aquarius, Uranus was already in Aquarius. My son has that. When Pluto goes into Aquarius, that is the major change, and Aquarius is a sign of astrology. So I think that maybe some of those gender-specific derivations in the chart will probably flatten out more, and they'll probably flatten out by perceiving both natures within the same sign. And I could probably do that as well right now, but that isn't the topic of this particular show, so we're going to stick to the binary interpretation of it. And so then you get to Libra, and Libra, while ruled by Venus, is an air energy masculine sign. And so it is the sign of marriage, and it's probably a little bit more difficult to interpret because the air signs are also enigmatic, and they don't necessarily align straight down gender roles. Libra, it is a receptive, because of the Venus rulership, it is masculine, but it's a receptive masculine. So it tends to make those who have a strong Libra in their chart more like the men who would have a strong Libra in their chart can be more feminine in features or more beautiful, or I would almost even say pretty. I think of a YouTuber named Joey Graceffa, and he's just got this really beautiful feminine look to him, but he's male, obviously. So, it would be something like that, or more interest in marriage and pairing and cooperation, which tends to be a feminine thing, looking for that type of cooperation and resolution, but it is filtered through the masculine. So I'll leave that open for interpretation because I think it's one of the, like I said, one of the more enigmatic signs where you can't necessarily assign strong masculine attributes because of that Venus rulership, but it is about balance and cooperation. So wherever you find that in a chart, it is about balancing out the energy. So maybe it is also about balancing masculine and feminine energies. And then you have Cancer, which, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the chart today. I got a little sidetracked there. Cancer is on the 8th house. It's Scorpio on the 8th house naturally, and Scorpio
is feminine energy. So it is about receiving information and taking it, because it's an emotional water energy. It's about integrating emotions and your value through the emotions. So right now we've just moved into this really strong Scorpio energy. And so you can see that the feminine, trying to process feminine emotion, not even feminine emotion, but through a feminine portal, that deep, even analytical based, but solution based energy. And it's about deep feminine. I want to say, like, if you could associate with this energy someone, trying to think of, I want to say somebody like Demi Moore. I don't know what her sign is, but the intense eyes and the dark hair, that's kind of the Scorpio feminine, very seductive and even sadistic at times. So it can be very sexy and sensual. That's the energy of Scorpio and the feminine. And then you have masculine Sagittarius, kind of the warrior. He is the centaur, and he, interestingly, I may have said this when I was giving my mythology of the zodiac, but the actual centaur that is Sagittarius is half man, half horse, but the back half is horse and the whole front is male, which I found really interesting, that even the legs are male on the centaur, but the hind legs are horse. So there is this really strong muscular animalistic vibe with Sagittarius, and is very physical and sports oriented. So that's really associated with that Sagittarius masculinity. Then you have Capricorn. Capricorn, again, it's historically, traditionally thought of as male energy, masculine boss, but it is the authority figure, and it is a feminine receptive energy. So traditionally it would be male, but ideally it would be understanding how to use personal power for the good of all. And it is an ownership energy, and it is the energy of responsibility and taking care of what needs to be taken care of. So be a little bit confusing for me. I mean, I probably should research that one further, because to me, it's the top of the chart. It's fame. It's a fame point at the midheaven, which is the center of the top of a chart. But I'm a little struggling to see the feminine side, although I do know a couple Capricorn women, and they are very in charge of their domains. So, I will get to this in a minute too, because of where we're heading astrologically in the next decade. And then we have Aquarius, and Aquarius is a mental, analytical, and it is also personal authority, power-based energy. But it's a male analytical energy, and it goes out through having the power, the mental power to define things and to understand things at a very high level, a high vibration. It is the scientist. And so it can be a bit detached. That is what Aquarius is detached. So where you see the 11th house or the Aquarian energy, that's where you don't have a deep emotional tie to whatever the subject matter is or the person you're dealing with, that they can be very detached. I have that on my house of home and family, and the opposite is also true for me, because I have Moon in the first house conjunct Neptune in Scorpio, so it makes me very focused on home life, but then at the same time, there is a detachment. Probably when Pluto gets to Aquarius, that's going to be when there will be like this power struggle / detachment coming into those with the 4th house. And then the 12th house is Pisces, and Pisces, again, water energy, receptive. And this is where we find probably, well, I don't know, all of the water signs do have power, but Scorpio and Pisces are probably the two most powerful in different ways. Scorpio because they gather information, and Pisces because they intuitively understand people, and the information is very emotional, visceral, but they read people. They read them emotionally, whereas Scorpio is empathic, meaning that they are separate, but they understand. Pisces integrates and is part of what they're trying to connect to. And so the Neptune association with that receptivity, it's very powerful from, like it is like the consummate mother, the consummate Scorpio energy on some level, because it integrates all of the water emotional side of things. And so wherever Pisces is in the chart, it means that we just viscerally have a reaction to people from a higher level. This is spiritual, spirit coming in, letting you know these are your gut instincts, your visions, and your dreams. And that's the receptive feminine. Okay, so coming up, I guess what I wanted to say, the final thing, and I know I'm running kind of long with this, but we'll get to our callers today, don't worry, is what's coming up in the future, and definitely a shift from a male hierarchy to of a more feminine-based power structure. And it doesn't even necessarily mean power structure as much as integrative. So as Pluto is in Capricorn, which is a feminine energy, and then gets to Aquarius. So Aquarius is a masculine energy, but again, remember it's alternative gender-based roles. So that's kind of a transitional point where there may be more of a flip-flop going on energetically, like magnet points, poles of a magnet, switching energies. And then the male energy will be much more into the nurturing, and females may be more into the authority roles and the power structures, which, by the way, are also happening now because we have Pluto in Capricorn. So it is the receptivity and learning about how to let women be more in this system. And I hesitate to say in charge and power because that's really a masculine hierarchical paradigm. As a woman with very strong planets near her sun, Pisces and Scorpio and Pluto and Aquarius energy, really strong in my chart, that the feminine way of quote unquote ruling is much more integrative and not as authoritarian. And it's looking for the solution for everyone and to try and be more inclusive. So as we go forward, that is really where I see our society shifting towards. And it's no longer going to be because I said so and I'm in charge, I'm the boss. I think that we're going to start to see structures shift and change too. And this was my suggestion. I've had conversations with friends and family, and that is instead of having one leader in charge, which exemplifies hierarchy, I think we're going to be moving more into like a quorum or groups of local based, the town hall idea, only integrating those more where there is no centralized structure and much more localized. So anyway, that's what I see. I definitely see the feminine coming and owning their power, which is the way it's going to shift. It's not going to shift because women are going to browbeat men and make them understand how wonderful we are. And I mean, it goes for any, marginalized group of people. You don't ever gain control, quote unquote, control, by making the other person realize anything. That is counter to the way it will shift. And the way it shifts is when you own your own authority and you stop asking permission or trying to enforce other people to give it to you. You own it. And that's when it changes. So I definitely see that shift coming through minorities, through marginalized religious groups and women, just saying, you aren't the person who's defining me anymore. And now I'm naming my own story. And that's how we change. So that's the gender as I see them in astrology. And I'm going to take a very quick break, just a 2-minute little break, and then we'll be right back with your calls. And welcome back. My name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida, and you are listening to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show. So welcome back, and if you would like a private reading with me, you can get it at astrologerangel.com. There are multiple links to schedule a reading or read about what takes place in a reading, and usually I record the reading and then send you the MP3 after within 24 hours of the reading so you have it to listen to again, because a lot of information flies out at you during a reading, kind of like I do it on air. Anyway, let's take some callers. Let's go to 818. Hi, 818. How are you?
Hi, Shell. I'm great. It's Diane. How are you?
Hi, Diane. I'm doing fine.
Wow.
What's going on?
What information you give. I'm so happy. You know, I would love. You do. You teach me so much.
Oh, that's awesome.
Can you just tell me how business looks between now and the end of the year?
Sure. So let's kind of start out with this week with the Venus-Pluto square and see what we have with that in your chart. So Pluto is falling in your house of work and service, and Venus is going to square it just over the cusp into home and family. And it's also, Venus is coming up on your Neptune, which means that you are also having a square of your natal Neptune, Saturn conjunction to Pluto, and it's kind of a growing square. And let me just see when that culminates. So it's going to be 22 degrees, and it almost gets there, and then it retrogrades next year. So May, you're going to be feeling it really strongly in May because it gets to 21, and then it goes retrograde. So probably 2019 is going to be a peak square for you. I'll even just look that up real quick for you. So February of 2019 is a direct hit square. So
That's not good, right?
Well, it's a major shift and change point. And this is the thing. This is kind of, the last couple of years with all these squares that we've been seeing, especially with Pluto and the Libra energy and the Mars or Uranus and Aries. My view of squares has changed because traditionally it was like, oh, squares are bad, they're scary, things are going to happen, not what you want, and trines are good. But I do think that trines they can be trying, and squares can actually make things change that you're too stubborn to change yourself. So what's going on is having Venus on your Neptune, Saturn conjunction in the house of home and family there's something going on there that you may not be ready to face around your desires and truly what you want to do. You might be more inclined with your Pluto, the transit in your house of service, to give over to the authority. But the square is basically you're going to start feeling stronger and stronger that you know what you want and you're not willing to let it go. And that Pluto square over the course of next year and the year after is going to refine where you want to be and what you want to do. And of course, right now we've got a square of your Venus, a direct square to your Mercury at 17 and your Venus at 15 in Aries. And then that's your midheaven as well. So Pluto's squaring your midheaven. So this next 2 years is very strong about life change, what you see as your role in service, and are you getting your needs met? And honestly, your Pluto's coming up on your Chiron, transiting Pluto's coming up on your Chiron at 21. And that means,
which means what?
There's an authority energy that your deepest wounding is around your own personal power within the workplace, like your ability, your ownership of what you do, and that you're not given the authority. And I can tell you what I really see is that there's probably going to be a man versus woman, boss versus self, home and family versus the workplace battle going on, where you're feeling like you're starting to understand more the dynamic that's going on with oppression of your ability to do your job. Like, you know what you're doing, but you've never been given that authority. And Pluto is here to remind you that you have it innately, and that whoever is oppressing you you won't tolerate it anymore. That's part of the story coming in. Okay?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, over the next year, let me think. Yeah, it's a very Capricornian year.
Oh, okay. I was just, the next couple months I was questioning, but wow, you gave me a whole, I mean, you gave me for 2 years. That's a big projection. I like it.
Yeah, but right now, the near future, you've got the Libra planets saying you've got to speak your mind, you've got to speak your truth, and you are right now being the one to try and massage things over. But again, as Mars moves into square with Pluto, you're going to have a disagreement, and it's an ideological disagreement. You're wanting to take action in a way that's probably traditionally more masculine, and that's kind of what we were talking about with the gender roles.
Yes, yes,
Mars,
exactly.
Yeah, Mars in Libra, but it's in the third house, which is that masculine house, and Mars is masculine energy, so it's making you want your voice to be heard, and that's going to go on for the next month and a half. And then it's going to be, Pluto's in Capricorn, and when Mars gets into Scorpio, it's in sextile, which, like I've said, is my favorite aspect because it's a cooperative aspect. So what you're dealing with right now is upsetting the apple cart, and then you're going to basically make the definitive changes as Mars gets into Scorpio. And then when Mars gets closer to Sagittarius is when you're going to move into the creative aspect and a more travel-based energy, and that comes the 27th of January next year. Is going to be about travel and creativity, and that'll be also the energy around real estate. I think you had some real estate stuff going on too, didn't you?
Well, I'm a realtor. So
right.
That's what I do for a living. I sell real estate.
Yeah.
But, I don't work full-time. I work part-time. And I play part-time. So I'm really centered and cool. And I just wondered, I had a couple deals that are coming up this year, and I'm like so spoiled. It's like a lot of pressure, and I don't know if I want to take it on just because, it's a high pace, and I've done high pace for many years, and now I was kind of cruising at my age. So I guess I understand. I'm going to re-listen because I have my own boss. That's the only thing. And I speak my truth. I'm always speaking my truth. I get myself in trouble. I speak up all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the opposite I'm supposed to be. But I
don't know.
I'm on my path for sure.
Definitely with Pluto going direct right now. It was retrograde, but now it's direct. There is a major shift around fear-based things. Capricorn is always like, where are your fears? Especially with Pluto. Pluto likes to bring up the psyche, the psychological things. And so what are the fears that you may be dealing with? And they are going to be directly related to your deepest wounding in the dynamic of work, health, and service. So
nothing to
those.
Okay, good.
Go ahead.
So then my issue has nothing to do with love. I mean, I'm fine there. Is that correct? Because we don't have any squares in that area.
With what?
In that area of romance, everything is status quo.
Not necessarily. I think for now with Venus, what she's doing with romance, again, Libra, the Libra energy is really strong down there in your home and family, and Vesta is coming up on your Neptune Saturn energy. And Vesta it can be a female in the home environment that you don't get along with. And because that's also squaring your Chiron, there are either mother issues, sister issues, partner issues, someone associated with your partner who is being difficult. That's what that is. So it isn't necessarily tra-la, a walk through the woods.
Okay.
It is
I try
dramatic, I think is the word I would use. Pardon me?
Oh, okay. I mentally try to create, the lollipops and all those niceries around me.
Right.
But I hear you. We're here for a little growth.
Well,
And
that's the Neptune. Neptune definitely wants to make everything smooth over and polite and cooperative. And Scorpio is saying, burn it to the ground. I don't care. I've had enough. And if you don't like it, too bad for you. I'm out of here. And that's literally what can happen. Like, I'm out of here. I'm not putting up with this crap anymore. And right now, Jupiter is expanding, so Jupiter can be very optimistic. But in Scorpio, it's a dichotomy. I definitely feel a little bit lighter with Jupiter in Scorpio, but that's in my first house. So it can bring a little lightness to the deep, dark, depressive Scorpio, or it can also bring down energy. Like, you expand that intense depression side, which probably is going to be more during Jupiter retrograde, quite honestly. I don't think it's going to happen until after the first of the year. Let me just see when Jupiter goes retrograde here. I don't even think it goes retrograde very soon. Yeah, it doesn't retrograde until March. So we have, a good 5 months before we have to get that depressive time frame when Jupiter goes retrograde, and then Jupiter's retrograde till just, I think, July. Fortunately, it's only a few months, March through July.
True.
That's not too bad, is it? 4 months.
No, never,
but,
no way.
Yeah.
No, I've been around the block a few times. I'm used to it, so I can handle it and be aware of it.
Anyway,
thank you, Shelley.
You're welcome.
A lot of good stuff. A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You're so good. Thank you, doll.
Oh, thank
Much
you.
love.
You're welcome. Yeah, same to you. Nice
Bye,
talking
doll.
to you. Take care.
You too.
Bye. Okay, we're going to take 708. Hi, 708. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Who is this?
This is Deidre. This is my first time calling in.
Deidre. Oh, my goodness. Goodness sakes. Yay. Okay. IEDRE?
DEI.
DEI. Okay. Okay, let me just reverse my letters. EI, okay. And then you're calling in at 708, and I just want to throw that up there so I can find you again next time. What time were you born, and place and date and all that good stuff?
May 25th, 78.
Okay.
Chicago, Illinois at 6:27 a.m.
Okay, wonderful. Let me just get this squared away. You said 6:27 a.m., right?
Yes.
Okay, great. And there we go. So what can I do for you?
Want to look at career and maybe a little love synastry. I have a guy that I'm dating, and also career. I just was laid off last week, so looking at that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, because we only have about 6 minutes left. I wanted to get a couple other callers, and they've been waiting a while. So as far as career is concerned, it's a really interesting transitionary time for you. Mercury is within 2 degrees of Uranus in your house of work, and that means contracts. That means looking at connections you have with where you're at now. Saturn just moved off of Neptune for you and is now in your house of marriage and partnership. So you're going to be dealing with more partnering issues coming in, and also Saturn on that cusp can trigger a move if you're interested in moving, or maybe just did, I don't know. But yeah, let me see what else I see here. You have Saturn in Leo. For career, it's right on the cusp. It's literally on the same degree, but 3 minutes of time on the other side. So it's at the very last degrees of the house of writing and literature and speaking and publishing, and it's going to go into your, probably by progression, it's already gone into your house of home and family. So children are a big thing for you, and anything you do would probably have a strong connection to children. Yeah, and having Saturn right where it's at, it's literally in trine to your natal Saturn. So there's some shifts and changes going on around the family and around where you are. I mean, you may be wanting to move, but definitely if you're thinking of moving, there's a strong possibility of that for career or a career shift, and it will also be connected to a partner. So I don't know, did you say you have a partner or no?
I do. I have a partner.
You do?
I have a partner that I'm dating, and he's also my partner in business. So
okay, great. That works out.
Right, we launched a trucking company. So even with the layoff, I'm like, I'm just going to put my full everything into the business. now.
Okay.
Because I have a lot of
Well,
time.
that's awesome. And since you said it's transportation, that completely is your Saturn at the last degrees of the third house, which rules transportation. And Saturn in Sagittarius transiting trine to your natal Saturn is long distance travel. So yeah, absolutely, I could see that. And then the partnering and everything seems to be really forward moving with that. I think it's going to get even better and more creative. Mars going in, it's only 2 degrees away from going into creativity and out of home and family. So you're going to be finding new ways of doing your job and connecting to people and promoting and all sorts of good stuff with that.
Wow, that sounds great.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, you're kind of making your dream happen. Saturn just rolled over your Neptune in Sagittarius, so this really is making the dream of freedom happening for you, and you will be able to travel. You're going to be able to travel, but actually, I think the next couple of years are going to be very strongly about partners and maybe even some marriage in the future for you.
Okay, all right, Shelley. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Call again.
Oh.
Okay, take care. All right, let's take 909. Hi, 909. How are you?
Good. How are you, Shelley?
Fine. Who am I talking to?
This is Angie.
Okay, I've got your chart right here. So what can I do for you?
I just want you to take a look, and according to what's going on up in the heavens, tell me how that will affect my chart in the near future. What sticks out for you?
Do you if you don't have any specific area, I would say coming into a lot of stuff is going on in career transitory, but a little bit more the next year is going to be Jupiter in your 11th house, which is really understanding your value within your career and are you making the kind of money you want to make. And then Saturn's in your first house. It just went in not too long ago, but it's in your first house up on your your moon. And the moon, you're in a moon return literally right this minute. Your moon is at 25 degrees Sagittarius, 18 minutes. And the moon is at 25-22. So literally over the course of the show, you were exactly in a moon return. So that's pretty cool. It happens once a month, but it's pretty cool.
That explains why I couldn't sleep last night.
Yeah, really. I know I have issues with the moons in certain positions. I'm wide awake. But yeah, definitely needing to be active. And yeah, do you have any more specific question about career? That seems to be kind of the key focus in your chart is the career energy.
What do I need to do to further it along, or what approach do I need to take?
Well, bring some intuition into it. Definitely get into what you know is really true and how you read people over the course of the next year. And even at the end of this year, you're going to have Jupiter on your Neptune, which is a Jupiter return, and it's at the end degrees, within 4 degrees of the house of the subconscious, the 12th house. So it's at the very end degrees of the 11th house, which is finding your soul group, finding people that you resonate with. And I think because that house is associated with career, it's associated with money, and it's associated with networking people in your career, that's what you need to be doing. But because it's Scorpio, what you're doing is recognizing where you're drawn to. So if you really pay attention to your natural desires, which is that Neptune up there, you're going to be in the right place to make the kind of money you want through a partnership situation, because right now Mars is at your midheaven, which is your fame point, and it's in Libra. So you're attracting in a partner for a career. And it could be a woman, or, you've got opportunities for both a man or a woman, but I just want to tell you right now, Vesta in Libra up there is also giving you that shrewish, difficult to deal with woman. So there may be a man who has a woman who's like, or you could have someone who may be not quite forthcoming with all of their viewpoints initially if there's a partnership going on. But it's kind of more being browbeaten by a woman in career. Okay, well that's what that is. Is she driving you out of your career?
No. When you said viewpoints and I know who
that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that person, she's up there in your career house. Venus is going to be joining up with that. So because Jupiter just got done with Libra, all these planets and asteroid, Vesta is an asteroid, they are picking up that Jupiter and Libra energy, which is, I don't want to be cooperative with you because I don't like the energy you're giving off. So when Venus gets to 18, that's going to kind of come to a head, whoever she is in your life. Let me just look real quick here and see the date for that. So that's going to be the 4th. Oh, no, that's not the 4th of October. It is, oh, wait a minute. What day is today? It says 24th. Venus at 18 is what I'm looking for. I was looking at Mercury. Venus 18 Libra. It's the 29th. So on the 29th, there will be kind of like, you can't force me to do stuff just because you're bullying me. A little bit of a bullying energy.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the 29th, it'll be like, don't like this. And then you're going to experience it again when Mars gets around. I don't know what degree Vesta will be at come November, but or actually even December, when, let's see if Mars gets to 18 sometime. Mars will be at 18 on the 21st of November. So you'll have probably a disagreement where you might want to the initial disagreement's going to be where you're going to try and smooth things over, but you're going to find that it's not going to work. And then when Mars hits that degree, which is November 21st, that's also the day that Sun goes, or within 2 days of Sun in Sagittarius. So you're more likely to just speak your mind, and it's probably going to be the point where you can potentially part ways.
Wow.
But,
okay.
There will be a commitment coming up. Yeah, when Mars hits Scorpio, that commitment will come in because you'll find you'll be more in alignment with what you want to do. And Mars hits that the 10th of December. So after the 10th of December, it's going to be a little bit better for you. You're going to be much more decisive and not feel like you have to please other people. And and then Mars will hit
Shelley.
Jupiter and it'll be like, forget it. Yeah, I hope it helps.
Gosh, yes, it's such a foundation to go with, and I wasn't even expecting it, but I totally get where you're coming from and what it means for me. I get it. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
don't
you.
worry. It'll be okay. And especially the end of December, Saturn goes into Capricorn, and that's the change of structure, and there's a renegotiating how you see yourself and giving yourself permission to have authority in your own life. Okay? So it's all good. I got chills with that too. So that's a really good turning point for you. Okay?
All right. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Shelley. Have a great day.
You're welcome. My pleasure. You too.
Bye.
Take care. All right. Bye.
Bye.
And that's the end of the show. So thank you for stopping by. We'll see you next week. Take care. Thanks for stopping by AstroEnergy this week. If you would like to get a hold of Shelley Overton, you can get her at astrologerangel.com, on Facebook at AstroEnergy or Astrologer Angel. The music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com with additional music by Ironwood Rain. Check them out on the net at ironwoodrain.com.
To subscribe, please click the picture of Shelley on the right or the red button below.